Assalamu alaikum. Shall we start? Good afternoon everybody and welcome to National Incubation Center for Aerospace Technologies. Today we are here for another symposium and we are going to have two panel discussions. Before formally getting started, we are going to have recitation of Holy Quran.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد.
Sadaqallahu al-Azim. Please stand up for national anthem. Let's have a look on a short introduction of NICAT.
Welcome to the National Incubation Center for Aerospace Technologies, also known as NICAT, a place where you can become part of the national struggle to achieve self-reliance in aerospace technology. NICAT is a leading incubation center that supports and nurtures startups in the aerospace industry. We provide a platform for entrepreneurs to help bring their ideas to reality and embark upon a journey to take their businesses to the next level. At NICAT, we believe in the power of collaboration and community. That's why we host regular events and workshops that bring together startups, industry experts, and investors. Our events provide a platform for entrepreneurs to showcase their ideas, network with potential investors and partners, and learn from industry leaders. If you're an entrepreneur with a passion for aerospace technology, NICAT is the place for you. With our state-of-the-art facilities, expert-level support, and collaborative community, we are committed to helping you bring your innovative ideas to life. So why wait? Join us today and be a part of the future era of aerospace technology.
Thank you. Now I would like to call on stage ABM Asad Ikram. Please come here for a warm welcome.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. I have to be bilingual, Urdu and English both, because we have a friend here from France today with us. I'd like to thank all of you here for being here today with us on this symposium. And I'd like to also welcome you to NICAT, which is the incubation center, the first vertical that we have for aerospace technologies in the country. And I'll leave more details of it to Imran Jatala to tell you later on. What I'd like to also share with you is that NICAT is housed within the National Aerospace Science and Technology Park that we call NASTEP. NASTEP is primarily a project of the Pakistan Air Force, part of a program where it's building a number of these technology parks across the country. So we have the first one here in Rawalpindi, then we have the biggest one in Kamra, we have one coming up in Lahore and another one in Karachi. These are regional technology parks. Then we also have plans to have smaller ones at places like Kharia, Sargodha, Peshawar and Quetta. Hopefully in the next phase we'll have those coming up as well. The main purpose of having these technology parks is to be able to bring the stakeholders of that industry together so that you have a platform where people can meet each other and be able to cross-pollinate ideas, also help each other grow. So at this technology park that we have organic R&D setups of the Pakistan Air Force, which is the lead institute for this park. We also have an enclave for the private sector, where we have at this point in time something like 76 private sector companies who have their offices here. We have 2 incubation centers, one here which is NICAT, which is the incubation center for aerospace technologies, funded by Ignite, which is part of the Ministry of Information Technology. And the other one is Cyberkuza, which is a joint venture between NASTEP and a Turkish company by the name of Cryptech. That specifically deals with cyber security and AI applications. So these are 2 incubation centers that we have here. So these together, the incubation centers, the private sector enclave, the R&D facilities of the Air Force, and I'd like to also mention here 2 more entities. One is the NASTEP Training Division and the Pakistan Air Force's Airworthiness and Certification Authority. These together create an ecosystem where we can share ideas, learn from each other, and be able to build the aerospace industry. So, and within that context, it's important for us to understand that space enjoys a very important place. There is a space division specifically for this purpose within the Air Force and here at NASTEP, and we are fortunate to have Dr. Hashmi here, who heads the space division within NASTEP, and I'm sure we'll get to hear more about that from him. So once again, thank you very much for being here with us. Hope to have a good sharing of ideas to be able to move forward in this industrial sector. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I would like to call on stage Mr. Imran Jatala, Project Director, NICAT, for introduction.
Good evening and Assalamu alaikum everyone, to all the esteemed guests. A very warm welcome to NICAT. NICAT is National Incubation Center for Aerospace Technologies, and our mission really is to promote aerospace, aviation and IT industry in private sector in Pakistan. Small businesses form the very economic engine of growth in any economy. And in that, we are looking for high value, the value addition in terms of technology. And that sector is IT, aviation and aerospace. And as part of our recruitment drive, we want to build an awareness in Pakistan about aerospace and aviation industry. Like just aerospace industry is a $700 billion industry globally, and aviation is a $1 trillion economy globally. So we want to bring this awareness to the youth and the universities across Pakistan that here is a big opportunity in terms of innovation and entrepreneurship. If Pakistani students, Pakistani youth, innovators and entrepreneurs start working on aerospace and aviation solution, we can have $1 billion export share in this global huge market. And that's the real purpose of this Aerospace Symposium, that we bring awareness to the masses, to the students and the innovators or the future entrepreneurs of this country. We are blessed to be part of NASTEP. NASTEP is National Aerospace Science and Technology Park. This whole old airport premises has been transformed into a National Aerospace Science and Technology Park with all the ingredients of an ecosystem, starting with a co-working space, a pre-incubator, an incubation center with managed office space, and then all the R&D setups of Pakistan Air Force. So we provide one of the best facilities, I would say the best facilities in Pakistan if we are working in aerospace, aviation or deep tech. So with this, I once again welcome you all, especially to our panelists, esteemed panelists, and the speakers. Thank you very much and very warm welcome to NICAT.
Thank you very much, sir. We have Mr. Haider Haroon, PhD Aviation Diplomacy for International Development Scholar, Aviation Advisor at NICAT. He is going to tell you something about very important. I would like to call on stage. Please come on stage, Mr. Haider Haroon. Thank you.
These slides. Started. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Mohammad Haider Haroon and I am aviation advisor over here at NICAT. Currently I am doing PhD in international relations where my thesis is on aviation diplomacy for international development. The topic over here which I am presenting is potential of Pakistani and Chinese aviation and aerospace industry under the umbrella of CPEC. Next. It's fine. Okay, so here is the introduction. The aviation industry is the key driver for economic growth, fostering trade, tourism, and connectivity between the nations. Both Pakistan and China recognize significant potential for development and cooperation in their aviation sectors under the Pak-China Economic Corridor. Air cargo transportation between China and Pakistan holds substantial potential for economic prosperity. CPEC enables the establishment of subsidized rates for air cargo services, promoting trade and commerce, streamlining operations and implementing ease of doing business reforms in the aviation sector can attract foreign investments and foster growth. Pakistan's airports, especially Gwadar and other international airports, can become hubs for air freight and cargo, enhancing global supply chain solutions. Now we can see that after the event of COVID-19, there has been a disruption of global supply chain. I think so that after Gwadar can become a gateway and the global supply chain solution can be resolved. So this presentation is basically will give the answer to the solutions for this. Adoption of state-of-the-art aircraft cargo technology can revolutionize the air cargo industry. Production and assembly of these aircraft will occur through joint venture with China. Various types of cargo carrying aircraft can be produced and assembled in National Aerospace City, Canberra. licensing CPEC warehouses at different airports in Pakistan can facilitate cargo storage management and contribute to the economic growth. The significance of this research which I did, basically I did this research for the CPEC conference which was held a few days back, and I presented in the conference, and which got a lot of appreciation. Even the Chinese ambassador appreciated it a lot. Firstly, the assess the impact of subsidized rate for air cargo services under the CPEC on bilateral trade volume between China and Pakistan. Evaluation of the effectiveness of streamlining operations and implementing ease of doing business reforms in aviation sector. Examine the transformation of airports into cargo hubs as a result of CPEC. Investigate the transformative impact of state-of-the-art cargo technology on optimizing operations and streamlining processes. Identify and access diverse cargo types that can transport via air under the CPEC initiative. Investigate the significance of licensing the warehouses in the CPEC of different airports in the country. These are some of the aircrafts now such as Boeing 737-800 freighters and Russian Alushyn and United States C-17. Now which we are targeting is Chinese is Xi'an Y-20 and Comac 919 freighter. It doesn't exist at the moment, but my vision is that under the aerospace city in Camera, we can build the assembly unit over there, and we can create thousands of jobs over there, and with the joint venture between Pakistan and China, we can initiate this process, and like we have done the project of JF Thunder, we can come into the cargo element. Now, coming to the conclusion, air cargo, along with the ease of doing operations, plays a vital role in Pakistan's economic prosperity and grows 20 times faster than the air-sea routes. They recognize the great potential of cargo transportation through air with subsidized rates between China and Pakistan under the CPEC. Pakistan airports can serve as future hubs for efficiently addressing the global supply chain challenges if airports are transformed into hubs for air freights and cargo under CPEC, leading to economic development of the country. Participants acknowledged the importance of state-of-the-art aircraft as the future of Pakistan cargo industry, displaying comprehensive understanding of various cargo products and supplies transported through the air cargo. Lastly, the respondents on the warehouses agreed that different airports in Pakistan would be beneficial for the economic growth. Now the recommendations at subsidized rates for the air cargo services, continuing the subsidized rates to boost bilateral trade between the both countries, expanding subsidies for incentivizing increased trade and cooperation, streamlining the operations and ease of doing business. Now this has been implemented recently by SIF, which has been done by in the country, which is a positive step in the right direction, in my opinion. Transforming the airports into the cargo hubs, I think so that each and every airport in our country should be transformed into a cargo hub. So the whole supply chain of the world, in my opinion, is Pakistan can become a hub of the hub for the whole, connecting with China. Pakistan can become a hub for the development of the whole world, in my opinion. Adoption of the advanced air cargo technology embracing and investing in the state-of-the-art cargo technology, like we can get the state-of-the-art aircrafts with the investment of Chinese into the Pakistan, and this process can be swift and secure in cargo delivery. Accommodating wide range of cargo types, doing market research to identify high demand cargo categories and tailoring services to cater the specific cargo types. Lastly is the licensing of warehouses under the CPEC initiative, which is to ensure the adequate infrastructure and facilities of warehouses and promoting warehouses to potential investors and businesses. The last 2 points which are the most important, which I would like to highlight, are the cargo and refueling transit hubs for global supply chain. In my opinion, if we want to connect China with Pakistan, like Gwadar, it can be made a refueling, a transit hub and cargo hub. It can be connected to the whole world, like aircraft can come from China to Pakistan, they can get refueled and they can supply, and they can go anywhere, and this way Pakistan can earn revenue, and it can be a win-win situation for Pakistan. Lastly, we can take the equity of Chinese aviation industry into the Pakistan aviation startups. This can help our aviation industry boom, and the cargo airlines can come into Pakistan, and the regional airlines can come, and tourism can boom, and aviation industry and aerospace industry will definitely advance. This is the example which I want to propose for the aerospace, National Aerospace City camera. This is a Comex C919 freighter version, which has not been coined as yet for from the Chinese, but they have made a passenger version. But this is the freighter version which I want, that Pakistan and China should collaborate, and it should be produced in Pakistan and via joint venture, and jobs can be created, and a lot of aviation development, aerospace development can be done. And this is the Xi'an 20 of China. They have produced. This is used by their Air Force. This can also be produced if JF Thunder is produced by joint venture. So this can also be produced, as there is a global supply chain disruption over here. If this aircraft can also be produced over here, and this can, I think so that resolute the supply chain issue in Pakistan can become the gateway for the supply chain in the world. This is the warehouse solution I want to give for the airports in Pakistan. I think so that with the help of Chinese, we can, like each and every airport can have these type of warehouses, like the one over there, like of the Alibaba. And if the warehouses come into Pakistan in future, inshallah it will come, and the destiny of the Pakistan aviation industry will change, and we will definitely take off, inshallah. And lastly, China friendship Zindabad. Thank you. Any questions? Yes.
So you might want to look at that and come out with the actual operating cost per ton in terms of being able to transport over a distance. So I think that will help you further refine your strategy.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I'll work on that as well. But basically I want is that the equity of Chinese into this aviation industry. If we put into that, so they can inject the money into it, so we can bring the more aircrafts into the industry, and so that's why the industry can flourish, in my opinion. With the more aircrafts coming in, and they can have the equity into this industry, and I think so that with that, because there are numerous aircrafts, as I've mentioned over here. So with if the equity comes into play, I think so that there will be a lot of development in the coming times. And Pakistan has a lot of potential, as Sir has mentioned, that it is a $700 billion industry. So I think so that if Pakistan potential is aviation potential is being tapped, as Pakistan is a sleeping giant, so of aviation. If it is untapped, which we at NICAT and NASTAP are doing, I don't think so that the time is not so far that we will be able to untap this opportunity, and we will inshallah succeed in our aim. That's it. Thank you. Ji.
You mean to say that you develop another assembly line over here in Pakistan?
Of freighters.
Of freighters, obviously. So even if they are having a assembly line over there in China, they will be ultimately producing freighters over there also. And that will be more cost effective that you start with. China is a friendly country, you can have an aircraft from them and start bringing it into operation. Later on, when really need arises, then China and Pakistan can think together.
They have a lot of orders already of C919 over there as well. Yeah. So basically we have collaborated with them for the JF Thunder. So why not collaborate for them for this? If there is, we can tap. So why not go for this option? and come into them. We have the aviation city, we have the place, let's do it. No harm in it. We have the opportunity, we have everything. Let's joint venture in this aspect as well. And I talked with the Chinese ambassador on this, and she gave me 2 words compliments. She just said very impressive, and that meant that. Yeah, and I think so that 19 years of hard work that I was doing for, and that was justified, and those 2 words. Yes.
919, is it competing with the A320 and the 737 deals? Cost per seat mile?
It's an basically 2 of them are, it's an initial phase. It's not been even tested by the certified by the Americans at the moment as well. It's in the initial phase, but the thing is that the aircraft is, I think so that since we are into the collaboration phase and we have good relationship with China, so why not let's help them over here, and let's bring it over here as well. So we have a lot of unemployment over here. We have engineers and everything. Why not give opportunity to our engineers and everyone, and product will sell because there is global supply chain disruption over here, and there is a lot of the supply chain issues, and I think so that it will be catered. Yeah, in future, because Boeing and Airbus, they are worried about this because the Chinese, and they are making it. They are coming for the 777 as well. They are making C929 as well, which is the competitor of 777. They are collaborating with Russia, and you never know if Pakistan can collaborate with that as well, and with Chinese and all, and we can come into the aviation industry in these aspects. And this is the platform, aviation, NICAT and NASTEP. We can collaborate with them, and we can have our hands in aviation in this element as well. That's it. Thank you. Ji.
So suppose best case scenario we end up having a assembly line here. How much percentage of the aircraft will be taking it from Chinese countries?
Yeah, I think so. In my opinion, I think so that Pakistan, just see the example of this NICAT. These startups are coming and everything. We have a lot of potential, and we are making drones and everything. We have, मतलब हमारे पास किसी चीज़ की कमी नहीं है. तो हम मैं ये समझता हूँ कि पाकिस्तान इतनी काबिलियत है कि हम हर चीज़ जहाज़ की हम इधर बना सकते हैं. और ये प्लेटफॉर्म ऐसे है कि यहाँ पे सारा ये स्टार्टअप्स ये सारे बना के दिखाएंगे इंशाल्लाह. और हम एक वक्त आएगा कि हम सारे जहाज़ क्या पता हम खुद ब खुद ही बनाना शुरू कर दें. Assembly line, I have talked about making the production and assembly line. I have talked about the both elements. In production, we will be producing our components over here, and then it is a long-term project, not for that we will starting in coming 2 months. But the thing is that we have to make our country make aware, and someone has to take it off in the aviation sector. And this initiative by Air Force, in my opinion, I think this is the right platform, and in the right direction will enable our aerospace industry move in the right direction, inshallah.
So do you think that Pakistan not involved in the economy? Do you think the air cargo would affect Pakistan more in the politics and rather than the conventional sea cargo based channels? So do you think the air cargo has the potential that can revolutionize the industry because the fuel cost and the running cost of the gas turbine in the aircraft it maximizes the cost of an element by 100 times, more than 100 times?
That is, you are right in that element, but there is the cost, but you just see, I have mentioned that 20 times faster. If a thing is coming 20 times faster, just see, मतलब एक चीज़ आपकी 20 दूनी तेज़ से आ रही है, आप कार्गो की आप सप्लाई चेन इतनी तेज़ कर देते हैं, जहाज़ आता है वहाँ से उधर से आपके ग्वादर पे सी पोर्ट पे आपके शिप तैयार होती है, वहाँ से जहाज से सामान उतरा, सी पोर्ट पर गया, वहाँ से आगे आप डिस्पैच हो गया। इस तरह ग्लोबल सप्लाई चेन मैं समझता हूँ कि ग्वादर ऐसी जगह पे है कि आपकी जो सी सप्लाई चेन दुनिया की डिस्टर्ब हुई हुई है, वो चाइना के थ्रू BRI जो सा उनका इनिशिएटिव है, आपकी सारी की सारी जो सी है ना जो इशू सप्लाई चेन का, वो इधर से सारा ये आपसे हल हो जाना है। अगर हम इसको एविएशन के थ्रू करेंगे, एविएशन को हम इससे लिंक करेंगे ग्वादर से, और इसमें आपका चाइनीज़ जो ML1 पे भी काम कर रहे हैं रेलवे का, ये सारे इंटरकनेक्टेड है सारा। वो चाइनीज़ हमारे पे इन्वेस्ट क्यों कर रहे हैं, इसका हमें भी फ़ायदा है, उनको भी फ़ायदा है, विच इज़ अ विन विन सिचुएशन। ये सारा, और एविएशन से फास्ट ट्रैक होती हैं चीज़ें, ये तो समझने वाली बात है। वो बात ठीक है, लेकिन कुछ चीज़ें ऐसी हैं ना जो तेज़ चाहिए होती हैं, लेकिन 20 टाइम्स फास्टर भी तो हो गई ना चीज़, ये आप भी समझें। हो जाएगा सब।
टाइम
इफेक्टिवनेस की बात है, आप बता दो, मीज माई पार्टनर बताओ।
So basically, I believe कुछ ना कुछ there are some things that basically expires very quickly. For that, we need time effectiveness. I believe that air cargo can easily transport those things at much quicker phase as compared to water and land logistics. That's the whole point. Sir, we are not just going to import those items, we are going to export those items for others.
Transit hub. हमारी एग्रीकल्चर है, उसकी हम सारा एक्सपोर्ट करेंगे। हमारे शहर में हर एयरपोर्ट पे जो उनसे है ना कार्गो हब बना देंगे, वो सारा हर चीज़ जो उनसे ट्रांसपोर्ट करेंगे तो पैसा ही आएगा ना, हमारी रेवेन्यू जनरेशन होगी। हम बेसिकली हम चाह रहे हैं वेल्थ क्रिएशन करनी है, उसके लिए हम पूरे मुल्क में हम कार्गो की हब्स बनाएंगे। हमने रेवोल्यूशनाइज करना चाह रहे हैं कार्गो को। हाँ, तो हम ये करने, यही तो इसी की तो प्रेजेंटेशन दी है।
Now have a look at Dubai. Dubai also have water logistics as well as proper air freight and cargo airlines separately. So we are also trying to copy that type of model. And similarly, look at John F. Kennedy Airport. It has different sectors and different type of airlines for cargo separate. For example, Atlas Air, which was founded by Michael Chaudhry. He was basically Pakistani American businessman born in Lahore. So he started it. We can also start it.
ठीक है, thank you. Anything else?
Are there any other case scenarios, just like you have mentioned this one, for the cargo? But do you have any other case scenario that can also boost the economy or economy, just like this one?
Other than cargo?
Yes, like any other options or any other, or do you think how long it will take to complete this task? Like any other action plans or long-term plan or short-term plans that you can think of or work on?
You can, sir, JF Thunder took, sir, how much time? JF Thunder project.
items कितनी हैं जो चाइना से आनी है. So you need to have more numbers. So I think a study को you need to elaborate further into what exactly do you want to transport by air. Plus जो आपकी cost through ML1 आनी है और जो बाकी आपकी already road existing है वो कितनी पड़ रही है. How many months of a year is that land route available or not available? There'll always be snowfall ज़्यादा हो गई, कम हो गया. Air routes will always be available. So you can't just replace one with the other. It has to be number of those. But then remember, air transport will always be more expensive. So you have to have a good business case for it. That's important. So वो तो है आपकी business air movement. और उस केस में, simple thumbs up would be कि probably your Airbuses are more cost effective as compared to the 919s. End of the day, it all boils down to engine किसका है, कौन सा engine है,
CFM है जो भी है.
जिसका भी. इस वक्त तो सबसे अच्छे engines हैं वो तो Western engines, that's waste. So Chinese engines are still not that effective. ये तो एक बात है. The other thing is to be able to use your manufacturing facilities and capability to help whether it is Chinese, Comac को अपने करना है या Boeing या Airbus को करना है. तो कितने इतने ज़्यादा orders हैं जहाज़ों के, you want to be able to get a pie of that. So we should not just restrict ourselves to the Chinese, but also be able to use these manufacturing facilities that we have for Boeing and Airbus.
जी मैं उसी की तरफ आ रहा था.
So I think उसको थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा broader
Boeing है, Embraer है.
Embraer ज़्यादा इस्तेमाल तो दुनिया में नहीं हो रहा.
ATRs भी हैं.
ATRs हैं.
ATRs भी.
और उनका बैकलॉग बहुत ज़्यादा है. अभी ऑर्डर्स आ रहे हैं उनके.
So that's where you might want to get into. So I think from that standpoint, it's good.
बल्कि आई एम इन टच विद इनके रिलेटिव हैं, वो बोइंग में होते हैं. आई एम इवन इन कॉन्टैक्ट विद फ्यूचर प्लानिंग में भी बोइंग के साथ है कि किस तरह हम कोलैबोरेट कर सकते हैं. आई टॉक विद सर इमरान as well.
I think let's move on.
जी जी.
The idea is good. I think so. It has two parts. One is the cargo business, and the other is aircraft manufacturing. So you want to manufacture wide body aircraft, then you want to use those aircraft for cargo. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And we will take equity from the Chinese investors, and we will we have the mandates of the aircraft cargo airlines, and we will use the airlines.
So in cargo we have DHL and FedEx and UPS already in the business. They are doing cargo, but they don't manufacture aircraft. And then we have aircraft manufacturers who are Boeing and Airbus. They are not doing cargo business. So I mean your idea is all right, but if you integrate these two, Pakistan might take 10 years to develop a wide body aircraft if we start now. So we will not wait for 10 years to start this.
No, no.
So what I'm saying that overall idea is all right. Simultaneously we can start working on both of these, and we might link both of these, and we might be linked. So we want to replace DHL, UPS, and all those cargo companies, and we want to start to have our own cargo here. Might we just focus on regional or CPEC route in this route, because this is our niche, this is our area, and in parallel we can think about, because if we manufacture wide body aircraft, why we would just limit it to just cargo? We can just sell it like going for passenger airline and others. So idea is all right that Camera should start going into wide body aircraft also. We have fighter, so we can go there. So your overall idea is good, but I think so that some areas could be just separated and you can pursue this.
सर, ये जब हमने कॉन्फ्रेंस में आइडिया प्रेजेंट किया था ना, तो चाइनीज़ एवेल्युएटर्स ने एक ये सजेशन दी थी कि आप इस पूरे प्रोजेक्ट को और आइडिया को 2 फेजेस में डिवाइड करो. पहला फेज़ है, उसमें चाइना में जो ऑलरेडी असेंबल्ड एंड कंस्ट्रक्टेड एयरक्राफ्ट्स हैं उनको इस्तेमाल किया जाए इंपोर्ट्स के लिए फ्रॉम चाइना टू पाकिस्तान ओनली. सर, आई विल बी क्विक. फॉर टाइम पीरियड ऑफ ओनली 10 years. फेज़ 1 विल लास्ट फॉर 10 years. और इसी फेज़ पे आप असेंबली एंड मैन्युफैक्चरिंग स्टार्ट कर दें. जब फेज़ 2 स्टार्ट होएगा आफ्टर 10 years, उसमें आप एक्सपोर्ट करना शुरू कर दें बाई यूजिंग चाइनीज़ एयरक्राफ्ट दैट आर लोकली मैन्युफैक्चर्ड एंड असेंबल्ड. उनकी ये सजेशन थी, तो वो इसलिए इस आइडिया में वेरी इंप्रेसिव हमें सुनने को मिला. यस सर, थैंक यू सर.
Keep building it up. We've done a blunder today, guys, and I must admit it. We advertised this symposium for Air University originally, and now we're getting messages people have reached Air University. We originally we were told that we were expecting a VVIP visit this week, so we shifted all 9th, 10th, and August events to Air University. Then that visit was called off, and we shifted back the events to NICAT. Especially there was good interest in symposium, and people now have reached Air University. Apologies for the inconvenience, but we're broadcasting this, so we'll continue this so that people can benefit online as well.
Let's officially start our first panel discussion, that is on future of commercial space industry. Now I would like to call on stage AVM Asad Ikram, Principal Advisor NICAT, Dr. Ali Javed Hashmi, Director Space Technology NESTAP, Rayan Khan, Director CEO of Cosmic Drive, and our moderator Ans Farhan Awan, Business Development Assistant, Integrated Aviation Solutions. Join us on stage. And we have a virtual panelist with us, Dr. Azim Arastu, former VP Boeing Space Defense System with us. Assalamu alaikum, sir. Azim Saab, can you hear us? Assalamu alaikum, sir, can you hear us? Assalamu alaikum. Azim Saab, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. It's it's little muffled, but yeah, I can.
Shall we start our panel discussion?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
All right.
Sure. Let's start.
Hello, sir. Hello, testing, 1, 2, 3. Sir Azim, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
So let's begin. I want to ask you a question. How can Pakistan leverage its young and talented population to foster innovation and entrepreneurship in space, science, and technology? So, do we have manpower and resources to collaborate with international space agencies like NASA or SpaceX to accelerate and catalyze such initiatives?
Answer is yes, but with some provisos. Yes, in the sense that we certainly have the capability, the talent, and the youthful resources to take up this challenge. But are we there yet? No. The gap is the training, focus, roadmaps, and a full infrastructure to get into this field, which is literally a $1 trillion business. So it's no longer, space is not a necessity, not a luxury or a science for the sake of science. It's an industry, especially now, which is equivalent to coming into an IT industry in about 20, 25, 30 years ago. People who have missed that boat will miss the next big revolution if we don't get into this. And for Pakistan, I think it's a must that we really need to put our heads together and put a real strategy to engage the youngsters and get the human resources developed to enter this field. And the field is very vast. So we have to be very strategic in terms of which sectors we select, which areas we select, so we can make sure that we have effective and strategic growth in all the three legs of the space industry. The three legs meaning the space sector, which is all the satellites and so on, the launch segment, and the whole ground infrastructure. So we can talk about a lot about each of those segments and the business aspects of all of those. And so I will leave it to you to have some more questions so we can direct it accordingly.
Perfect. So basically we are at a right place but at wrong time. Is that correct?
Absolutely, and it's not only being the right place, and it's an area that we cannot afford to miss. It's the technology, and especially this area now, for a variety of reasons, for civilian and all other purposes, this is an area we just cannot afford to ignore. And the other big thing that has happened now in the last 4, 5, 7 years is space has been democratized, in the sense that the cost of the barrier to entry for the space has gone down significantly. The cost of space segment, the satellites, the launch areas, manufacturing, testing, launching, all has gone down by almost a couple of orders of magnitude, which makes it relatively easier for a talented country like Pakistan to enter this and play a very powerful role, not only for Pakistan, but all our surrounding neighbors and our friendly countries. So we need to develop strategic alliances with the friendly countries and develop a whole infrastructure. And as I said, the strategy has to be done right, so make sure that we do capture all aspects of the business.
Perfect, sir. Thank you. Now I'm going to move towards Sir Asad. My question is, what are the main challenges and opportunities for the Pakistan to participate in the global space sector? As we know, world is apparently in a phase of another Cold War. In terms of space race, we can see China, India, and Japanese going into space. Where can we stand from space race point of view?
Well, I think already Azam Saab has pointed out to a number of areas. So, if you look at the challenges that we have, right. So, if you look at the challenges that we have, it starts off from first of all the right HR, and that HR doesn't mean just young people who are going to be working as engineers or something. It starts off from everyone, from the decision makers down to the intern that you would have in the program, right? And the other good thing that is, well, that's one challenge, right? But on the other hand, what has also happened is, like Azam sir said, that you've moved from space programs being totally public controlled to private sector programs, which is more so in the US. And we also see that happening in India now. Less so in Europe, but more probably on the Indian side. So that's the opportunity, right? So you have this opportunity for the private sector to get into. But then that doesn't happen overnight. The challenge there is to have the right policies at the government level to allow private players to come in. And I'm sure we have enough of potential in the country that if we have the right policies in place, we'll have a number of private sector companies coming in to work in all the three segments that Adam Saab talked about, the space segment, the ground segment, and then the application segment on top of it. Because it's not just about having satellites or traveling to Mars. There's a lot more that people have been doing and people can do. And,
but sir, aren't we lagging behind in terms of international reputation and talent?
Yes,
in that sense?
I'll come to that. Well, that's not just for the space sector, right? That's for everything. So that's there.
Unfortunately.
But Yeah, but I mean, we can always bounce back. That's not an issue. I don't see that as something that should keep us from planning and moving forward, right? I mean, every nation has its
Exactly.
ups and lows, so that's nothing to be worried about. It just means more work to be done, right? So the challenge that we have is, one is the HR, the right sort of HR that you need across all tiers of the industry. Number two is technology itself, because we haven't really done so much. So that's something we need to do. The policy level that I talked about, all we have is just one space agency in the country, which is not as civilian as you would want it to be. So that's the third part. The fourth is going to be funding. But then again, remember, if you move into the private sector, and if it makes business sense, so that funding will come in from wherever, right? So you have to move from the public into the private sector to have funding available. If you want to do everything in the public sector, well then the government has to make money, has to arrange that money, and all it can do is tax you more, right? So
Exactly.
that's something you don't want to do either. So these are the main four areas of, I would say, sort of challenge that you have. The fifth challenge is something that you pointed to, is collaboration with other countries. Well, that again, you see, is more to do with the way you can pitch yourself, the way your diplomacy is going to work, and if you can really create win-win situations, people will come on board, you know, whether you are in one camp or the other. If it makes business sense, everyone is going to be ready to talk to you. So if you have a launch station, for example, a launch segment, which is cheaper, more economical than you know, Kazakhstan or wherever, people will come to you. Why should they not, right?
Perfect.
So I really don't see that as a big thing. What we need to do is look at our policies. Everything starts with policies. We really need to work on a very aggressive, forward-looking space policy in the country. Once you have that in place, everything else will follow. So that's the way I look at it.
Perfect answer.
Dr. Hashmi.
Now the next question is for Dr. Hashmi. What are the potential benefits and risks of private space exploration for humanity and the environment? For example, SpaceX has planned to send humans to Mars within the next decade. So as species who have been raised on Earth's ecosystem, how can we adopt with the ecosystem of Mars? Are we going to terraform it from scratch, or are we going to apply artificial ecosystems in a form of biospheres within the Mars atmosphere?
This is a very difficult question for me to answer, you know. Biological knowledge in how can human life adopt to extraterrestrial systems.
So we can conclude basically, is it worth exploring and settling in space or not?
This
Is it
goes
worth it?
into this goes into astrobiology. The point I want to highlight, my earlier colleagues have also mentioned that space is a multidisciplinary area. And if I have to do research in astrobiology, I don't have to be a rocket scientist. I need to be a medical doctor, you know. So I went to Air University, and then we talked to all of their departments, and I gave a presentation, and I said that space is a multidisciplinary area. Everyone can contribute, starting from Fizaya Medical College to their business school, marketing, electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, semiconductors, artificial intelligence, propulsion, communication, everything. So space encompasses everything. I will try to answer specifically, shall we go to Mars or shall we colonize the space, how human species will, these are the questions which are there, very important. Space has benefited mankind in many ways, not just few decades back. Ever since we are born, we can see stars, and we can see the light. So astronomy is the oldest branch of science, and it also includes studies, scientific studies. So it's the oldest branch of science, and in all the philosophies and religious books, the mention of space is there. And I think so that it's not an option, it is a compulsion, not only from that perspective of business and earning revenue. If you talk about advancement of scientific knowledge, finding more Earths, or colonization and national security, national economy, scientific understanding how we were born, where we need to go, we need to work on space, you know. Now, when we need to work on space, every one of, I think so, as a student of space, every one of us are space scientists in some way. Either we comprehend it or not, consciously or unconsciously, we are. Yes, sir. So, we have HR in most of the aspects. Yes, there are certain niche areas in which we don't have trained HR. But we have, alhamdulillah, HR at the national level. If as Saraswat was saying, the aim, the only thing missing is to have a vision, then to have policies, and then to have procedures. But stories like you are mentioning SpaceX many a times, so they totally went against those. So NASA, they went to NASA to buy a rocket, but ultimately they went to Russia. So sometimes the national policies are not supporting you, even in the West, but then they do it. The
Exactly.
people who have to do it, they just do it. Either the things, in our space division, we are developing a CubeSat, a small satellite. Right now, the satellites in the air, there are about 5,000. Sorry, I'm not answering your direct question, I am just talking about. In next 7 years, there will be 100,000 small satellites. 3-4 years back, when we started our space program, there were just 1,400 satellites in air. Now this exponential increase in small satellites, NASA did not support this. So when in Stanford and Cal Poly in California, when they developed these small satellites, they went to NASA, and then the FCC in America, they were not giving them license even. And then they went to Russia to launch it. So space is not limited by human imagination or the boundaries or laws or those things. Most of the times, these are new areas in which laws and regulations doesn't support. My last statistics about space industry is, as a student of space, it's around $400 billion plus industry. Satellite manufacturing and launch is just 10-15%. The 80-90% of revenue is on the user terminals and what we have. Every cell phone has a GPS receiver, every cell phone is a satellite receiver. It has similar sensors which a conventional satellite has. It has accelerometers, gyroscopes, cameras. So we need to tap there. 3-4 years back, the GPS receivers were $40 billion. Now, alone these GNSS receivers is crossing $100 billion. So our brother, he gave about cargo. So in those cargo ships, all those cargoes, all those airplanes, UAVs, cell phones, tractors, cars, you have GPS receivers, navigation receivers. So this is, all these are satellite receivers. I don't need to invest in GPS satellites, it's already there. Navstar, and then world is giving them. Even if I have national satellites, I should know how to use them. And how should I integrate it into my economy, my society? The last example I will give is Google Earth. You know, Google Earth, I'm using it 2003 and 4. Google does not own even a single satellite. But they are running the largest imagery database of satellite imagery, and everyone just goes there. Because they understood that there might be just 100 imagery satellites, but there are 8 billion users. So the users need to be integrated. So that's why what I foresee, that if we consciously propagate this to our youth here and in our universities, that okay, the rocket scientists have a place, but most importantly, if we have this in our mind, that space is open for all. It is a United Nations that space is a common heritage. Even airspace is limited to a country, but the space itself is open for everyone. First thing. Secondly, I don't need to be a rocket scientist. to be a space scientist or to work. There are certain areas definitely, but mostly it is open. If I am working in satellite imagery, digital image processing, I'm working in satellites, and we have this Azhar. He is there. He graduated from Punjab University. He is a graduate from space science department. He was not finding any job in space sector. That's why he joined Air Force as a meteorology officer. But now when we started our space program, then he is working on satellite imagery, and then all those processing which even Airbus does, or those countries, we are doing it here. So we have HR, and they are equipped with those tools. Our job is to just create a little bit of, ignite them. And then whatsoever we know a little, tell them that these are the avenues which you can work, you can start, you can make startups. This is what we know. And then space is one area which does not have any boundary. Every other domain, land, air, and sea has boundaries, but space does not have any boundary.
Perfect, sir. So sir, the main important point of my question is that our Earth is dying, right? Global warming, pollution, stuff like that. So why are we not helping Earth instead of going and terraforming another planet for settlement? Why don't we invest in satellite technology to improve Earth instead of going abroad?
I think so that.
Getting my point?
Yes, there are many misconceptions. There could be a debate. Some people do that we are not doing enough on Earth. Why we are going? Everything we are doing in space is helping Earth. NASA since 1970s, they release a book and it is available free. NASA spin-off technologies. That whatsoever they learn from space, they transform it to the Earth. How to make your life better. So from satellites, we can observe climate change. 80% of satellite forecasting data nowadays, it comes from satellites. NASA and NOAA. By the way, in America, it's not just NASA. There are about 8 to 10 space agencies. NASA is just the face of it. So space, I think so it has equal share by government, private industry, academia. So I think so that there are 12 or 14 major industrial sectors in a country.
Perfect.
Banking, tourism, transportation, power generation, and 10 of them are dependent on satellites. If satellites stop working, all these systems will shut down. We don't know actually how does the satellites provide global timing, position, navigation, imagery, ISR, communication, interconnectivity. So it is very important, and as I mentioned, that we should come out of this debate. If we have to have life on Earth, if we have to promote sustainability, we have to do research in space. Because the more we understand space, the more we understand our origin. We are stardust, actually.
Perfect.
Actually, we have come from space. So right now, how did the life originate? How can we improve it? Till the time we don't understand our origin, that's why I was going through this documentary on James Webb Telescope, and they say that they are looking at the past, millions and billions of years back. How did we came here? Everything we are doing in space is helping the humanity. I think so. As a student of space, it is not wrong. It is not rightly understood that we are investing a lot there, and
Space basically inspires us to go beyond our thinking. Right.
You see, if you read Bible, or you read Quran, or you read religious books of Hinduism or anyone, I think so in Quran these are the direct orders. Why don't you ponder on the creation of universe? And I have created the stars and the moon and the sun and the sky. And it is not only Quran. I say that Allama Iqbal, pardon me, he mentioned that मोहब्बत मुझे उन जवानों से है सितारों पे जो डालते हैं कमंद. Now I think so Iqbal, when he said this verse, उस वक्त शायद एयरक्राफ्ट उतने कॉमन नहीं थे, because Iqbal 1938 से पहले चले गए थे अभी तो एयरक्राफ्ट नहीं थे, एंड ही वाज सेइंग व्हाई डोंट यू गो एंड स्टार्स को क्यों नहीं तुम काबू में करते. सो and if you go to philosophers back there even in here in Indo-Pak, or the philosophers in Turkey, Greek philosopher, so they say that this universe is for you to go and conquer and to understand, because we are part of it. If we don't understand sun, if we don't understand other planets, if we don't understand galaxies, we don't know ourselves. The more we understand them, then this is the purely philosophical thing, but actually the physics, the G, the capital G, the small g, the forces between two bodies, we learn them from the space, and then we apply those physical laws here in our inventions, scientific endeavors on Earth. So the more, it is very important. It is a religious duty, I think so. It is a compulsion from socio-economic point of view. It is a compulsion from national security point of view. No nation can claim to be either secure, or in the future, because people are already talking about finding oil, minerals, asteroid mining, because in Earth you have limited resources. Okay, from 100 years, 500 years, fossil fuels are going to end. So what about after 1000 years? They want to extract those minerals, oils and everything from the space and bring back.
Perfect. It reminds me of Oppenheimer. He also invented an atom bomb by studying stars. So space is the for humanity.
We are stardust. If you go into the minutest detail of religious beliefs, there are ahadiths and then Quranic verses. And if you go to pilgrimage and then you kiss Hajar Aswad and you say it came from there, because all of us came from there. Adam was in stars and he was sent back too. So you have to see you have to understand. Last thing, we were having an astronomy night, and Lahore Astronomical Society president was here. He pointed towards a star and he said that the light you are watching now, the Jesus was not born when this light left. So what you are looking is to 2500 years back. So the James Webb is looking at millions of years back. So looking at the past, and we are trying to find out from where we came. So it is written in religious books from where we came. We were not here. But physically we are part of the universe. If we take sun out, there is no life on Earth. So all what America, they launch the spacecraft for understanding the solar radiations, the other planets. It will help in sustainability. The benefits we see are instantaneous. Okay, I have a satellite. I can find out my way. If I have a pizza delivery, or I am hiring a Uber, it can find a way and I go there. It is an instantaneous benefit which satellite navigation is giving to me. But what about my generations after 300 years? What will happen to them? So I think so that the agencies who are doing space, they should have a much broader vision. That is the and that vision, I told you, the Quran gives you that. Why don't you ponder upon my creation? Because if you will understand that, then you will be able to, it's a bigger purpose.
Excellent. My next question goes to Mr. Rayan Khan. How can Pakistan collaborate with other countries and organizations to advance its space ambitions and contribute to the common good?
Okay, so when you talk about collaboration, specifically for Pakistan, as our previous speaker also mentioned, that we need to collaborate with China, and in this region it can be a hub for aviation, for aerospace. So what I believe, and it is definitely, as Dr. Asad Saab also mentioned over here, that we need to bounce back. He used this word, because we were there in that space race, but we are now lagging behind, or behind right now. But there is a point we will reach, and it's a roller coaster ride that we need to. Can you hear me? Okay. So it's a roller coaster ride that we need to go. We need to collaborate with our neighboring countries specifically to reach to the ultimate goal, and the technological transformation is really important. Like we need to
transform or transfer the technology from our neighboring country to collaborate and have these collaboration, specifically those countries who are right now leading in space industry, can be a helpful or a supporting goal for Pakistan. This is what I believe, and I think it's going to be helpful in many different ways.
Can private space agencies within Pakistan, like Cosmic Tribe, you're CEO of it, right?
Yes.
As well as Raha Kamar,
Yes.
his CEO is sitting right over there, Iftikhar Saab. So how can private space agencies contribute in promoting collaboration with neighboring countries?
Okay, so right now, what we are doing, we are promoting space science and astronomy STEM educational training programs, and our feedback is really good somehow. The courses that we are offering, specifically for the students, for younger students to understand, like, because what is not there yet in our curriculum design, the subject of astronomy is not there. The subject, the topic of aerospace, we recently conducted a summer camp related to aerospace adventure, where students who never flew in airplane got excited to learn more about aviation, what are the parts of the aircraft, and they got fascinated by the idea of what is aviation itself, what aerospace itself. So all these private industries, all these private companies are going to be helpful for development.
In filling the gaps. In filling
Yes,
the gaps.
exactly, the gap is there. And it's not only me or Iftikhar Saab can be in this. There can be many other people who can disrupt this market, because it's untapped. Still, I feel there is a huge potential. There is a need of more collaboration, partnership, specifically when you see from astronomical perspective. Pakistan is can be a hub for astronomical activities because it's a dark space. So I can see that. And we are nothing. We are just a minute yes, exactly. No, in our space industry, when you talk about, we are just in the beginning phase. We are still not there yet to see that we have developed a building of our empire of this, but we are in struggling or developing phases still after spending 4 to 5 years in this industry. And I see, but the market is there, and students who are participating in these activities, those who are interested, specifically when I talk about the curriculum, we need to redesign our curriculum to make people understand and create awareness about this topic of aviation, aerospace, astronomy, that how it is important when we talk about development of the sector, yes.
Exactly, perfect. So now our session comes to an end, and now it's time for Q&A session. Any questions?
Assalamu alaikum, Sir Azim. Imran Jitala here. Thank you very much for joining us. मैं एक बहुत सिंपल सा क्वेश्चन सर आपसे पूछना चाहता हूँ कि थ्रू बिकॉज वी आर ब्रॉडकास्टिंग दिस एज वेल what are the low hanging fruits for Pakistani students, undergrad students, especially engineering undergrad students, in terms of aerospace and aviation industry, or the global opportunities in aerospace and aviation industry?
Several low-hanging fruits. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now, sir.
There are several low-hanging, but since I'm a space guy, I spent almost 35 years in the space industry of all kinds. We are at a very, very interesting juncture right now in the space industry, which is almost the same as being in the aircraft industry for about, which was around 35, 40 years ago, where it was a turning where aircraft manufacturing, aircraft usage was not one for elite only, but it democratized later on. So space is becoming like that at this stage. One of the key things that has happened are the entrance by commercial companies, specifically Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and so on. And what they have done, they have made the engineering really remarkable. What we have now is microsats. The CubeSats CubeSats are the panacea for a lot of our problems that we had before in the space industry before. The cost of production, testing, launch has all gone down by at least 2 orders of magnitude. So what I have been propagating that throughout Pakistan now is to really encourage every university to have final year projects using CubeSats, have teams building CubeSats. Each one of them, team member can specialize either in the power sector, the communication sector, the thrusters and so on, but make a team. And then have similarly another team, some teams should build launch vehicles. The critical leg of the space industry is missing in Pakistan, which is commercial launch. We are completely dependent on other people to launch it, and by the way, if you depend on somebody else to launch it, the game is over. So there is absolute critical element that we have to do. And there are plenty of smarts in Pakistan. We've got pretty good industry in Pakistan to do this. It's a matter of getting the focus and going into space launch. So that's another very, very important area. Third is our things to make products for information dissemination. Whether the information is navigation information, resource mapping, images, hyperspectral images, water resources, all kinds of things. And those products and those sensors are common both in the aerospace side and the space side. You can put the same thing on a drone and do the same thing, and go to space and collect some information. And again, miniaturization and power, just like amount of power that we have in a cell phone. Translate that to space, it's unbelievable what you can do. So all these things can be done in Pakistan. But what I heard Nasser mention this, and I'm a very, very strong proponent of private-public partnership. This has to be done by opening the gates in the private sector in a controlled way. We have to have a government policy. We have to have a proper methods, mechanisms set up so we can have the private-public partnership, and that is the only way this will flourish. And I think without opening, we have Soparco was one of the very early space agencies formed in 1969. One of the very few, much before many agencies. But holding it to only few organizations in Pakistan, we're doing a tremendous disservice. They can be the controlling ones, just like NASA and Air Force, and they should be the policy makers and have healthy competitions to do this. So then another area that we can have the youngsters work on, like now we can almost have, we're talking about 100,000 satellites in the next few years. Each satellite, just think in terms of cars. If you have 100,000 cars to build, you have to build that many tires, that many engines, that many thrusters, where are they coming from? We can then start building components and have markets internally but then be very good at it. That's what I'm saying. We have to be very selective and strategic in which areas to grow. So we don't try to do everything. That's the biggest mistake. Just have few select areas where we should be second to none. And again, if you look to our across the neighbors, they have done, first thing they did is, as soon as they opened the boundaries, get the private industry come in, they have boomed. And now they are head-to-head competing with launch vehicles, even SpaceX, with all the manufacturing, the satellites. I was with Boeing for so many years. Going with them, they wanted to build entire satellites up there, and they did, with launch vehicles. So I think then we have the software products, right? All these areas that I'm talking about are areas which have low barrier to entry. So it's easier to get into this. So we need to figure out which are the things which are not as capital intensive, but we can engage our talented workforce and develop the human resources accordingly. Another thing to do that is to have partnerships with universities to develop the human resources to go into that. I have worked, I was there in Pakistan in March. I didn't see anywhere in any public university where we have aerospace, masters, PhDs, and so on, and going into an industry, because there is no industry which is sucking these people in. There is no, those people just go and then they train and go abroad. That's not what you want. So there has to be an industry set up internally where this manpower can be absorbed locally. So I can keep going on and on, but all these things are very, very doable, but we need a strategic plan and to do that, have a proper space policy. We talked about earlier going to Mars and so on. Again, now I'm consulting with both SpaceX and Jeff Bezos for lunar missions and permanent lunar bases. Those are not just for the sake of science. We're doing all those because for the Earth. Earth is a beautiful place and we're getting overcrowded, over-resourced. We need to have both somewhere else. Space mining, we are now building an entire space colony with all the things built from the space, mined from moon. And similarly with Elon Musk, we are doing it for Mars, trying to do in-situ mining and so on. Then go to Mars. The question is, why go to Mars? What's so important? One is scientific curiosity. Second thing is, there's a huge asteroid belt very near Mars and Jupiter. Each one of those asteroid belts have, the business case closes by just going and mining those things. So all these areas are the areas that we can work on.
Thank you very much for a very elaborate answer, Dr. Hazem. And एक और मासूमाना सवाल आप सब से, including you, Dr. Hazem. There is no harm in naming India का Chandrayaan mission is about to land on moon. हम कितनी दूर हैं? We being Pakistan, हम कितनी दूर हैं ऐसे मिशन से?
I think what I would also say, the first step of a journey is the very first step. So any journey can be, we have to, if we set our mind to it, maybe humans can do, but we have to, as long as we have a strategic plan, we can do it.
Yes.
It's much easier now.
Ji, bilkul, Azam sahab, I think we still have to dream about it. We haven't done that yet. So I think that's what's important. Dream about going to the moon. Then only we can, like Azam sir said, then you can set down your plans and put your resources, etc., and be there. But then, like we said earlier, I mean, yes, we are at a low at this point in time, but that doesn't mean that we can't go up. We have done that number of times. Or just Azam sahab ne pehle kaha, 1969, Suparco, the first agency in Asia to send a rocket in space, right? So we could do it then, why can't we do it now? So, I mean, remember, even if you look at how the space race started off between the Russians and the Americans, the Russians did it, the Americans were taken off guard, there was a lag of number of years, and then they caught up. So, I mean, I don't think it's something to worry about. We just have to get our act together, use whatever resource we have, but the starting point is always has to be a dream, to put in the right policies, and then everything else follows. So I think that's the way to go. Dream, put in the right policies, let people work, and you have to have the private sector do this for you. Remember, even the Americans with just NASA, they got to a stage and that's it. They even were sort of, stopping further space travel. but then it's only with new players from the private sector who have come in and have sort of, re-energized, revitalized this whole thing about space. So I think that's the way to go.
Again, as a student of space, there are certain things which we are very near and we can immediately do. You can call it as low-hanging fruits, and there are certain things which we are very far, 40, 50 years down the line. When Russians launched Sputnik in 1958, that a lot of us know, but what we don't know that Russians launched their Mars mission in 1959. Immediately they had a satellite in low Earth orbit, few hundred kilometers away. Americans had not conceived about their lunar Apollo missions. So the vision or the dream which he is talking, so Russians have spent almost 10 missions to Mars and one is successful. So their success rate is 10%. Indians, they sent one mission to Mars, it is successful. UAE has sent a mission to Mars, it is successful. So the success rate of UAE and but what have they done? Indians, they have earned from space industry, and then they have so for 20, 30, 40 years they have been generating revenues. I tell it to the last government, our ex-Prime Minister, when he held in 1992 the Cup, the World Cup, it was being broadcasted through Star TV. So in 1992, in this region, the satellite TV was commercialized. And right now, if I ask you what we are earning from, SATCOM is very minimum. So I think so first we have to earn from space industry, and then it could come from private industry, government, any other, and then you invest in those missions whose benefits are a bit far away. India is not just doing Chandrayaan, it has a broad-based program. And all these programs, they started in 1958. So basic thing is what sir is mentioning, that you had the dream and you had the vision. You had, Russians had Mars program, Americans had weather or satellite weather. We lose billions of dollars because of floods. And there is wealth of satellite weather data which is free. And no one in Pakistan is using it. So I want to talk to, with your forum, to the students, in university students, to use that data, which is available by NASA, which is available by NOAA. You don't need to be a rocket scientist, you just need to be an IT software, 2-3 universities can join. So those are the low-hanging fruits. If I can save billions of dollars, $2-3 billion, which I lose in flood, I can have my own GPS system, but when I am losing the basics and I'm not using the available data, how can I afford the costly missions? So you asked for the low-hanging fruits. Satellite weather, 3 weather satellites, Kalpana and then 3 more, they're right sitting on the Indian Ocean. So when you look at the Indian program, then look at the in totality, just don't look at Chandrayaan mission. If you have to look at American program, then look at the totality, what they did. So India has 80 satellites. 3 of them are satellite weather. They give accurate weather forecasting to Indians. They have 28 to 30 communication satellites. They have 20 ISR imagery satellites. They have their own navigation satellites. The brother was talking about the cargo. They have the space-based augmentation system which they got from Lockheed. And what they are saying, that if all the global aviation, it passes through India, they will give the safe navigation through their own, what you call it, IRNSS, Indian Regional Navigation System, NAVIC, and its the old name is Gagan also, Gagan. So it's not just Chandrayaan what they're doing. So space, it enables satellite communication, satellite navigation, satellite imagery, satellite weather forecasting, then satellite development is one, launch is one, and then scientific missions are others. Education. Yes.
Education, remote education.
Sir. telemedicine, tele-education. We as a nation, we have a lot of low-hanging fruits in which our youngsters can start immediately contributing into Pakistan's own national problems. We can accurately forecast weather. Our agriculture through, Dr. Azam was saying, through multispectral imagery, hyperspectral imagery, ISR from satellite, we can improve our agriculture yield. And then to do these things, I don't think so that we need big regulations or we need big scientists. It is just the ideas, it's that mental barrier which we have to cross. Many low-hanging fruits, and we have a lot of hopes from you, sir, and Sarasat, that whatsoever we have learned, if we can transfer it to our youth and to the young minds, they can pick up those ideas. For 2-3 years we generate some revenue and then start investing in those. For our JF-17 engines we have some problems. For rocket launchers we will be needing some engines to get it from here, even if I have other technologies.
So, about this topic, when you talk about Chandrayaan mission specifically, I think, as you mentioned earlier that, Dr. Azam actually mentioned about the public-private partnership. This is one of the important things, specifically in Pakistan and space policy. This is, I feel, we need to work on this more, specifically on education, outreach, awareness, because this is what, when we started as Iftikhar Saab and we started this work, we found challenges in educational sector. This is one of the most important point to reach to that level. We are lagging, we are behind in this race for sure, but I think all these policy making, all these public-private partnerships and specifically educational outreach, I think it is going to be helpful. And indigenous technological designs, when we start these tele-robotic activities here within the university, have some competition. We do have robotic challenges, but we do not consider this as a space mission activity. When you talk about tele-robotics, we have done this with our students with Canadian tele-robotic mission program last year, and we realized that this can be done here in Pakistan, specifically when you talk about tele-robots. This is going to be very useful, helpful within the universities to have such kind of hackathons, competitions to educate and aware. I think, but yes, we are behind in this race. Thank you for your time. This session comes to an end. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Token of appreciation.
Thank you, Sir Arun. Sir.
If you have a minute, I can add, can you hear me?
Yes, Jam sir, please go ahead.
Yeah, I think before we wrap up, I think it's important to just want to set the scene. When you design any business system, you need to figure out what are the pain points. So if I have to design the space policy for Pakistan, the way I see it is, what are our biggest problems in Pakistan? Pakistan has 250 million population, 5th largest, and is going to be the 5th largest in the world very soon. Our problems are education, 25 million kids out of school. Our economy base is agrarian, we depend on agriculture. For agriculture we need water, so we need to have water resource management. We need to make sure our power structure is managed. We need to understand our weather pattern, because we critically dependent in our entire sector on the weather for our livelihood. And if we look at all that, we need to, and then if I can build a business case, so see, these are multi-billion-dollar issues that we have. Just to make an education system to get 25 million kids back to school, we cannot do the conventional way. We have to do it in an out-of-the-box, leapfrog, and use this modern technology. And I think space offers that fantastic opportunity for the decision makers. That's where, if you frame the problem like this, then you will get the money. Then if you say, okay, I want $5 billion for this kind of project, you will get it because you're solving a $100 billion problem. Then I would also say, we are very fortunate to have China right next to a neighbor, which is a very good friend of ours. We have CPEC. I'm very sorry to see we have not put space as one of the key items, or at least one of the items in a CPEC plan. We need space support because it helps us across all those things. And getting into space business brings the twinkle in the kids' eyes. You know, I spent my entire life in space with Boeing, with all kinds of missions, with space exploration, and my inspiration was watching lunar landing, first man on the moon in Karachi, in this black and white TV when it just came out in 1969. That changed my entire life. And I see, everybody will see, space brings a twinkle in the kids' eyes. It brings them close to learning STEM programs, which is highly required in Pakistan. So I think that's why I'm saying, and before we close, this is not just for the sake of fun. This is our livelihood, our future depends on this. And if we miss this race, there will be a huge disservice we'll do to our nation. So I cannot stress this more than, you know, this is really, really important.
Jazm Sahab, thanks a lot for this. And before we close, I just want to let people know that here at NICAT, we have a startup, Astroflux. This is a startup that's come out of the Yale University. And what they're doing is they're building a small satellite for debris removal in space, which happens to be a big problem at this point in time. So that's one. Dr. Hashmi and his team are working on a number of applications for civil use, including meteorology, that is weather forecasting. And they also have, they're working with the private sector to develop low-cost satellite receivers, so that we can, you know, use them in satellite communication, and of course we'll be able to use that for tele-education, telehealth as well. And they're also working with partners outside of the country to export them and be able to earn revenue. In addition to this, Sparco has a number of programs going on, primarily with the Chinese, to have a few more satellites up in space to provide much better remote sensing and communication capabilities for the country. And we have a number of smaller companies in the country that are trying to now work to be able to use that data that we have for the common good. But of course, a lot more can be done and has to be done. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone here, especially the panelists, myself too, and Azam Saab, thanks a lot. It was really, you know, extremely good to have you here on this panel, and we hope to get more of your guidance on improving.
Absolutely, I'm available anytime.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Imran Jatala, please join us. Mr. Ali Akbar, please join us. Mr. Taimur, please join us on stage for a token of appreciation. Please stay.
Sir, आपके लिए virtual meet physically.
You need to send that to me. Send it
Dr. Ali Javed
holograph form.
Yeah, make a photograph for now.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Ali Javed Hashmi. Please join all, everybody. Mr. Rayan Khan. AVM Asad Ikram. Ans Farhanawan. AVM Asad Ikram. Thank you so much, sir. सबसे लास्ट में
Thank you very much, sir. It was an honor to have you with us, sir.
Thank you. you so much. Again, my services are always open, so please let me know if I can be of any further help.
Abhi sir? Thank you very much.
Okay, I'll sign off.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Imran
Thank
sir,
you. I'll
please
sign
stay
off.
on stage. We have to. Imran sir, AVM sir. Best Innovation Award goes to Foundation University. Please, team, come on stage. Startup World Cup. Startups, please come on stage. Big round of applause. Moving forward to second panel discussion, I would like to call Mr. Shehzada Suhail Awan, CEO in Flight Express, Mohammad Iftikhar Yazdani, founder Rahe Kamar Elements Interactive, and our moderator, Mohammad Haider Harun, PhD Aviation Diplomacy for International Development Scholar. We have one virtual panelist, Dr. Willy Mughni, yes, Dr. Willy Mughni, Chairman and CEO Aviation Institute of Management. Assalamu alaikum, sir. Dr. Willy, can you hear us?
I can hear you, but the volume is a little lower. And there's some bit of garbled noise in the background. But I can live with it.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me? Hello, sir. Sir Wali, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. The volume is low, but how about you? Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, I can hear you loudly.
Okay. All right.
The topic of panel discussion is entrepreneurship in aerospace and mobility systems. Here we start.
Yes, sir. So the topic is entrepreneurship in aerospace and mobility system. My first question is to Mr. Suhail Saab. What are the main challenges and opportunities for entrepreneurs in aerospace and mobility sector, especially in the context of Pakistan and the global market?
Thank you, Hadi. First of all, I would like to recap the main difference between tech and the aerospace and air mobility tech. Like normal tech entrepreneurs or startups, they have to work on the hardware, on the tech industry, but if the aerospace startups there, they have to go through a very stringent certification requirements from the manufacturers' authorities like FAA or the EASAs. And those certification processes, they are very investment intensive and it takes a long time. And for that reason, the startups or entrepreneurs working in the country, they have to focus on a couple of things. First of all, they have to have a good market awareness that the product they are going to launch should carry a real solution to a problem, or if that product is already existing in the market, then they should provide some modification to the product in terms of features or its cost effectiveness. And for this thing, when I mentioned this is a very investment intensive thing, So I believe that the best thing they should do in Pakistan, they need to have the alliances with the industry experts in the West, mainly. The reason being that these people have more appetite for the risk, and the investors over there, they know the market and they know the investment in that sector. The Pakistani investors, as I have seen with my own practical experience, that they are ready to invest in those industries or products which are provide a quick return on investment. As we have seen that most of the investment goes in Pakistan into the real estate sector or in the trading sector. So for that reason, we have to raise an awareness amongst the investors. And I just heard the other day that NICAT is taking an initiative and they are going to have a summit on the investment in a few weeks' time. I believe that will be the great opportunity for all the entrepreneurs in air mobility or the aerospace sector to come and brief their product to the investors, pitch them, and guide them that in a long term, the benefit of investment in the aerospace can reap more benefits than the traditional investments. Secondly, the management team for these startups or entrepreneurs should have a clear vision and supportive. And in that case, NICAT has provided them an initiative that they provided mentorship. With the help of those mentors are from the industry experienced people, and they are here. I've seen them every day, and they can help them to grow. And as you asked me especially about the air mobility side, you know that air mobility, which we call in a term that electric vertical takeoff landing machines, the concept is at least a decade old, where the most of the individual startups operating in silos started working on them. But at a later stage, the bigger players like from the automotive and from the aviation, they came in to play in the game. I gave you an example that Delta Air is joining hand with one company by the name of Joby, and they have developed their eVTOL, which we suppose that it comes in the market next year or maybe in 2025. That even those people, they are facing a big challenge of certification issues. Initially, the air mobility machines, they are classified in the fixed wing category for certification purpose, FAA Part 23 type certification. But just last year, FAA moved this eVTOLs into a special powered lift category, Part 21-17B. Now, these big companies who have developed their product for the past few years, and right now they have to adopt another standards from the FAA, and I think it is going to take another 2 to 3 years before we can see real air mobility machines in operation everywhere.
Thank you, Suhail Saab. My next question is to Dr. Wali Saab. What are some of the emerging technologies and trends that will shape the future of aerospace and mobility systems? So, can you hear me?
It's barely readable, but anyway, can you repeat it, please?
Yes. What are some of the emerging technologies and trends that will shape up the future of aerospace and mobility systems?
Okay, great. First thing is, of course, when we talk about technologies, there are technologies that are generally termed like disruptive technologies, and then there are technologies which are in the category of transformative technologies. So, we're using electric and hybrid and solar and all those technologies that are coming up, but mobility itself in the airspace domain is bringing about a dramatic change, and the more we work on it and more we make it simpler and easier for people to jump into this domain is it's better for us. I think in March, sometimes in March this year, Civil Aviation Authority came up with a policy for these type of vehicles, including drones and light aircraft. And I think we need to address all these needs and latent needs in particular. And I think the most important thing is that just like in software development, you have these, a category of personnel who are, developers, and they call themselves ops dev. And the main objective of these guys is to make sure that you not only see what the industry needs or the nation needs and how the needs are being developed, but at the same time you have to build up like strategic partnerships with various organizations, and it's not one specific area. You have to have very positive team with collaborative effort right from the word go. I mean, from the very fact that you start off the research, and there should be a teamwork where developing and thinking about and also chalking out a plan and a phased development concept where they would be able to charter a complete flight plan for the development that is taking place. So that's my take on this. And of course, the lead is through innovation, and it has to be supported by comprehensive planning at the same time. So managerial skills and technical skills, partnerships, and all those things. It has to be a very, very comprehensive and very detailed charter, along with the support of the authorities which are regulating the entire area. But I think at this point in time, Pakistan is suffering from, I would say, firstly, initially lack of policy, and then subsequently a policy that does not really help individuals to jump into this category.
Yes, sir.
So it must encourage.
Yes, sir. So basically, we need to have a policy which should be friendly for this aerospace domain. My next question is to Mr. Yazdani Sahab. How can entrepreneurs foster a culture of innovation, collaboration, and customer centricity in their teams and organizations?
Sure. Can you actually repeat that, because
Sure.
it has many aspects. So I'll just
How can the entrepreneurs foster a culture of innovation, collaboration, and customer centricity in their teams and organizations?
Okay, that's
Basically, that's about the entrepreneurship.
yeah, of course, I understand, and I could actually write a book on that.
Yeah.
So the first part would be how to foster what again?
How can entrepreneurs foster a culture of innovation?
Yeah. Okay. So let's stick to that first, so that I could address that individually, because it's one question, one great question with a lot of angles to it, and it spreads out, and that's great. Happy to answer. So when you try to foster anything within an organization, you consider yourself an entrepreneur, what are the first things you need to do? Be it space, be it anything else. It doesn't really matter if you're running an organization that is catering to space or aerospace. Here, what we're talking about is creating an environment where innovation is supported. Okay, you could have a person coming up and saying, I have this concept. You hear them out. You have a concept, and being able to experiment. Again, Clayton Christensen is known to be saying that entrepreneurship. The first time you try, there are chances you will fail. So that that's not failure. It's just you not being able to do it. That for the first time, keep doing it, keep trying until you know. One of the greatest examples is Thomas Edison, like 1,000 ways of not being able to make a bulb, but ultimately, you know, getting that light, being there to create that light bulb. So, that said, within an organization, creating the environment to let innovation come, you know, if someone's there and has ideas and concepts, or getting around, sitting around, having a lot of post-it design thinking sessions. You know, it's very simple. Every day, if any entrepreneur here wants to, they could have, we do this all the time. Excuse me, all the time. I do this personally all the time. I spend at least 10 minutes every day and say, okay, it doesn't matter whether I will pick it up and take it and start another entrepreneurial venture or not, but the idea of innovation, how do you do, what's different, what's missing, that's where the answer lies. And if your answer can, like the previous session, one of the gentlemen said, if the answer can cater to a large population, then that's your eureka moment, and create the answer, create the solution, and sell it. Yeah? So that's the first part. What's the second part?
Collaboration and customer centricity in their teams.
Yeah. So one of the very important things is collaboration and customer centricity. So why? Again, this is not specifically just related to space, because this can cater to the whole entrepreneurial realm, I'll call it. If your product is not even partially customer centric, I'm saying, then it's something that you've built for yourself and you'll just enjoy it. You'll be like, aha, that's my baby. Everyone loves their baby, but don't treat your product as your baby, period. Treat it as a product, treat your solution as a solution, look at it from both perspectives. And when you tend to get into this entrepreneurial realm, the first thing you decide is building personas. Before even getting down to your solution itself, you look at user cases, for example, for people who are into the software development side. How would this happen? So that you get a use case, you get multiple use cases. So, customer-centric, without that, I don't see where they would go, honestly. And collaboration within the team, that's one of the most difficult parts, especially when the team increases in size. Because you will find a team member who's extraordinary, for example, in programming, and another team member who's extraordinary in marketing, but they hate each other categorically. So how do you create that ecosystem within your organization? That's not really entrepreneurship. That's leadership. That's part of the leader who leads the organization, who has to sort of make them join hands at least for the product. I mean, outside the boundaries of the office or whatever, go ahead, knock yourself out. But within the office, work.
Thank you. My next question is to Mr. Sohail Saab. What are the challenges do you think are faced by air mobility startups, and what are the strategies they should adopt to gain success?
Well, first of all, I would like to say that the challenges in the air mobility systems, the people, entrepreneurs facing not only in Pakistan but all over the world, is divided into two parts. Let's divide into hardware side and then divide into the operation side. Hardware side, that the main thing is the battery density, because that is going to provide you the endurance of the flight, and the vertical propulsion. And battery technology has advanced in the recent past quite quickly, and lithium ion is the name of the game, and there are different diversified modified versions of the batteries, but the basis is lithium ion anyway. Previously the battery were having the anodes of the battery was having a graphite coated, I'm sorry I'm becoming a bit technical, but it will make sense in a way that those anodes with a graphite iron, lithium ion battery was delivering some amount of density and the weight of the battery. In present day advancement, those anodes are converted into pure lithium based, and which reduce the weight of the battery by 3 times and double the density of the battery. So the challenges are going to be the social challenges, that acceptance from the public, and again I previously mentioned that the certification issues. And entrepreneurs from Pakistan, they have to have the alliances with the Western companies, and only then they can reduce the certification time and bring their product into the market.
Thank you, very well explained. My last question is to Dr. Wali. What are the some of the best practices and lessons learned from successful aerospace and mobility ventures in other countries such as Turkey, China, India, and United States?
Could you repeat that again, please?
Sure. What are some of the best practices and lessons learned from successful aerospace and mobility ventures in other countries such as Turkey, China, India, and United States?
Okay, as you know, United States has been leading in aerospace as well as innovation within the aerospace domain. And of course, this has been regularly followed by other parts of the world. And right now, I believe the UTM, which is Unmanned Aerial Systems Transport Management System, is something which is really taking leaps and bounds in terms of technological management. So the number of, and one of the main reasons, can you hear me? Because I'm getting some background.
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir,
Yeah.
I can.
Oh. Okay. So one of the major things that I see over here in all the countries that you've mentioned is that everybody is leaping forward to grab this complete area which has recently taken off. And I think statistically speaking, I would say that one of the important things in this domain is entrepreneurship itself, of course, but within the same entrepreneurship domain, I would recommend intrapreneurship as well, because that is an area where you have these established organizations rather than somebody. An entrepreneur would come up with something new as an organization, as an entity. But in entrepreneurship, within an organization, they would have much more opportunities to streamline and get things going and come up with innovative features. So I think there is another lesson that we can learn, and going over in Turkey particularly, I've been directly involved in that with them, and they have given DevOps a very, very important aspect within the development arena of the unmanned aerial systems as a whole, and urban air mobility in particular. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. With that, I would like to conclude the session. Yeah. Anyone would like to ask a question with our esteemed panelists? Any question? Or any comment?
या साइज होगा, या किस तरह से साइज कर सकते हैं पाकिस्तान में एविएशन इंडस्ट्री को? पाकिस्तान में एविएशन इंडस्ट्री का रफली क्या साइज़ होगा सर, या हम किस तरह से उसको साइज़ अप कर सकते हैं?
I want to give one example in this one, that I want to take you 3 decades back. I'm talking about the era of 1980s. There was only one airline existing in the country, and it was the PIA, and it was operating 50 aircrafts at that time in 1980s. And today I think their size is less than half of that number. Maybe the reason was that the economical condition in those days, from that point of view, they were better than what we have today. So that is the reason that the buying power of the public is going less nowadays. So travelers are less, although population is 220 million, but we cannot count on that. We have to count on the people who can afford the air travel, which is maybe a few hundred thousands only. So that's the reason. Unless our economic conditions improves, then we can predict about the size of the industry can grow up.
So, just taking his answer forward, not specifically Pakistan, because I don't think there's a mechanism set properly to get that data. That itself is an entrepreneurial venture, by the way, because there needs to be some way of collecting that data to help people decide and take decisions in terms of business and marketing and development overall. But that said, globally, there's a report, I think it was 2022 by McKinsey, that very clearly mentions that globally, in most of the countries where the infrastructure is in place and they've been calculating the amount of travel being done based on, say, tourism or business trips, etc., on a daily basis, like globally, at least 9,600 flights per day. And that will grow to 100,000 flights per day by 2030. That's quite a rise if you see it on a graph. And if Pakistan could tap in that, then it would be great to have that piece of pie that we haven't yet maybe tested or tried out. We could. And I guess NICAT is one of the examples that's perfect to try and tap into that.
Thank you very much, sir. Imran Jatala. जी sir. Sir, please. कुछ कह रहे हैं? Okay. Sir, please join us. Mr. Ali, Mr. Imran Jatala, Mr. Ali Akbar. Join us on stage for some token of appreciation. Malik Shahzada, Suhail Awan. Dr. Wali Mugni.
Yes, please. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Mohammad Iftikhar Yazdani. Yeah. Thank you very much. Muhammad Haider Harun. Yes, thank you so much. Muhammad Ali Akbar. Sir, please, thank you so much for joining us. Big round of applause. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Bali Muglani.
Thank you, thank you,
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir, for your time.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
तो ये सिर्फ ये नहीं मिलेंगे हमें, सिर्फ वो मिलेंगे,
नहीं ये तो मिलेंगे।
इसीलिए इसमें लकड़ी भी ज़्यादा अच्छी है।
इसके साथ अभी आप दे देते हैं।
नहीं, इसको ऊपर रखो, जो मांग लेते हैं।
नहीं सबको देते हैं।
और इसलिए इसमें अच्छा लगेगा। ओके जी, थैंक यू वेरी मच।
अनस अपना भी ले लो।
Sir, kindly boxes ले लीजिए।
ये मोबाइल